Bye, Tracy. I'm recording it. Take a deep breath. You are perfect. You are safe. We are okay to do this, my darling. We're just going to talk about our crazy ass journeys, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yeah. This healing journey.
yeah, because I was gonna say this healing journey is a crazy journey.
It is.
Like, oh my gosh.
But this
If
is,
I knew, like, on, I think I would actually have not showing, not even like gone down this path because it would have felt so scary and so like just crazy and
I know. And this is why we were saying, wasn't it? Like, this is totally not for the faint hearted. How easy is it for us to just be like, push our emotions down and keep distracting ourselves and pretend everything's okay?
and that's something like I used to do all the time. Like, it just I think just in general in society it's like so normal and so, nobody ever talks about the hard stuff. It's like, oh, these are hard conversations. You don't need them. But what you don't realize is like how powerful and just how different you feel after having these conversations and these realizations. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not the easiest journey to be on.
No, I mean, I think both of us have really gone through some deep, deep, deep stuff in the
Yeah.
past few months. Um, yeah, I think for me, getting to that point of really allowing myself to go to that place of worthlessness. I mean, just to admit that to myself now, like that younger version of me, that little girl Laura inside of me, genuinely put meaning to the way that I was treated,
Yeah.
to make it mean that I was worthless. And then to look back at so many things, so many decisions, so many reactions, and the way that I've been in life. Um, all of, I can go back to when I was a young teenager, and it's because I was coming from a place of trying to seek approval from other
Yeah.
people around me, to be a way that I thought I needed to be the happy, joyful, full of life person, because that was the person that I felt, was accepted and was liked. And it's just insane.
Yeah. But it's like I even all of that just made so much sense. And it's like even when I look back, it's like the things I did, I can see how a lot of my reactions were coming from like places of being hurt, like even just like friendships and getting mad and stuff about certain things. And it's like I can see why. And then like another, especially the journey of self-love is growing up, how we were always told, basically don't put yourself first. Everybody has to go before you. If you love yourself, then you're arrogant and nobody will like you. And so having these like bad relationships with ourselves was so normal. And even speaking now to everybody, like even people who you look up to and you think like, oh my gosh, they look like they have everything together. Like I wish I was them. And 99% of them don't love themselves either, or they've gone on a journey to learn to love themselves.
Mm.
And it's just really sad how we've always made ourselves become last instead of putting ourselves first from the beginning. And imagine what a like beautiful world it would be if everybody was on that journey.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But the reality is of where we're at now is in a world where we're so distracted. We push down emotions, and then we end up in places where there's repeated patterns, and we notice these behaviors, and there's things about ourselves that we're not liking, and we're not really getting to the root of these things. Now, do you feel obviously we did that session, the rapid reframe session, didn't we, last week?
Yeah.
And that was insane, wasn't it? Because we was like, oh, let's see what happens. We'll see where we go with this. And we worked on self-worth for Tracy. Okay, so Tracy's been
Yeah, it's so
downloaded. Oh, sorry. Tracy has been downloaded an amazing modality working with angels and unicorns, and where she taps into your energy and works with angels and unicorns to really bring healing, to bring messages from guides. And the messages that come through Tracy are insane. They are so accurate. She is so amazing at what she does. However, do you mind me sharing this story, Tracy?
Not at all.
I'm just going off. So when somebody asked Tracy a couple of weeks ago or last week, what is it that you do for a living? What popped into her mind was massive imposter syndrome. Well, you're not actually doing that, are you? This is the voice in her head. You're not actually doing that, are you? Because you're not really charging your worth for it. And people are just pretending that you're doing a good job because you're not really good enough to do this. You're going to fail anyway. This is the voice going on in the head. So we worked with that and we went through to a few different memories. Do you want to tell a story or?
Yeah, so just the one memory was obviously really trying my hardest in school. No matter what I did, like I couldn't pass the exams. And so that was really hard. Like I felt really bad. The school that I was supposed to go to had a really bad name, which added on the whole self-worth. And, if you go to the school, like you're going to be nothing when you leave school. I even remember them saying, you'll never get into colleges or university if you go to the school because no one will take you seriously. And then, which funny enough, ended up being the best decision that we ever made. And then the other one was I can't even remember what the other memory.
We went back to 6, 7 year old Tracy with the gifts.
Oh yeah, I don't have such a child type memory where I think my sister and my grandmother had got late birthday presents, and my mom and dad got a going away present because we were leaving the little city or the little town that we were living in. And 6-year-old me didn't get anything because obviously there was no reason to get anything. But like she felt so upset and so left out because she didn't get a present. And I was like, it's such a typical little child type memory, but yet again worthy or loved because she thinks she didn't get a present. And it was just so crazy. And then obviously the session was amazing and I felt amazing afterwards. And then I was watching the video that you put up on your group about the people pleasing and how you couldn't even stand in line and you would feel bad because of the people behind you. And I recognize so much of that in me because I'm so bad. Like if there's somebody behind me, keeping them waiting and they're gonna get angry and everything. And then that obviously led me down this whole like rabbit hole thing of realizing that there were still parts of me I didn't love. And that was really hard to admit. I like even the fact that I'm sitting here talking about this shows that there's been a shift because that was like one of the hardest things to admit to yourself that you don't love yourself. And especially there's so much guilt and shame involved with that, like shame that or guilt that you don't love yourself, but also like this embarrassment and the shame in even admitting something like that. But that's like how crazy this journey is, that when you can get to those levels and like now talking about it, it's there are no emotions there. And it's so funny because I didn't really do anything other than acknowledge them. And then obviously like it was a very emotional evening, so I spent a lot of the night crying. But it's like once I released those tears, that was it. Like that guilt and that shame has gone. And it's just like it just made me realize again how we don't let people cry. How many reaction to them is, oh, please don't cry. Or how can I stop you? What do you need to stop crying? And it's like, no, actually, you should be encouraging people to cry because that is how we release a lot of our emotions.
Yeah.
And it's just like that journey, that session just like opened so much up for me. And I just had so many different realizations. I was like, wow, like no wonder I can't charge people and that because all of this obviously affects every part of your life. How are you going to help other people if you
Yeah.
can't, help yourself?
It's insane. So just tying all that together. So we worked with a feeling of imposter for helping Tracy to really step out and put her modality out there. So this took us back to a memory of where she was 11, 12 years old in a school and really feeling that she wasn't able to really do what she knew, and the hard work she was putting in, that it wasn't going to get to where she wanted to be. And really feeling that, connecting with that 11, 12-year-old version of Tracy helped her to release those emotions and move through those emotions in that moment and release all of that feeling of, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I'm going to fail anyway, and everything else that was in that voice in Tracy's head from this memory a week ago, right? And that went back to when she was 11, 12 years old. Then we went back to the 6, 7-year-old version of Tracy, who hadn't received a gift. And you'd said, this is such a silly memory. Why is this coming up? It's such a childlike memory. But here's the thing, the way we see and perceive the world and how our experience of the world today as adults, as we see it, is formed when we are children. So that 6 or 7-year-old version of Tracy in that moment didn't feel worthy. Even though she was doing everything that was expected of her, she didn't feel worthy or loved enough to receive a gift like everybody else had received. And that had stayed in her. That had stayed like in little, that younger 6 or 7 version of you. And then it impacts on how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself as an adult. This stuff is completely insane. And then when we talk about guilt and shame, so as children as well, we internalize everything, right? Something good happens, something bad happens, it's our fault. Somebody's upset, it's our fault. It's something that we need to do. We feel shame if we feel like something's not right, or if we feel overwhelmed by something. We feel guilt when we know we've done something wrong. So in that moment as well, you felt anger came up, and you'd said to me, this is new. I don't feel anger before. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, we've reached another level here, because I'm the same, because my anger is packed so far down as well. But in that moment, the feeling of shame for feeling that anger was again packed down. But as soon as we let these emotions arise, like Tracy said, she cried that night, and that's it. Feel lighter. It's gone. These things no longer need to impact who we are now as adults. And I would imagine you feel, how do you feel about, putting
Yeah,
voices out there now and talking about what you do?
but it is like when I even if I think about putting them out, like there's no before there was like a lot of panic and resistance and like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Like now there is nothing. I just need to like sit down and actually do it. Like there's no, I don't feel any kind of resistance. I have realized, however, there's a lot of more work that I need to do, like to really get myself to a place where I want to be. Because obviously, I want to be that person who can fully accept everything about myself. And I have realized that there's a lot of work still, like, especially like I've done a lot of work with well, I thought I had done a lot of work with self-love, but like now looking back, I'm like, okay, again, it was like surface level stuff. So there's deeper things now that I need to work with. But like it's okay. It's not overwhelming and scary like it was before. It's just like, okay, it's just, get it done and then know that there will be a big shift when you do that.
Yeah, too right. Because here's the thing, when we're kind of on this journey, we can hide from it, and we can keep pushing it down, and we can keep ignoring it, or we just allow it to process. And as like Tracy said, just cried during the evening. And like I shared on mine, when I realized how I felt about myself. And again, that was underneath shame and guilt. And I just sat in the shower, on the floor of the shower, and I just allowed myself to cry. I just allowed it to just move through my body and process, because these emotions, all they need to do is just process, just to be acknowledged. That's it. And then move through your body. And then they've no longer got a hold on you. They've no longer got an impact on who we are, how we show up, our decisions, how we act and react to the world. And and physical illnesses and pain as well, because these stay in our bodies, right? They stay in our bodies, and if they're not acknowledged,
Yeah.
then oh, I've got a bad back, I've got a bad shoulder, I've got this, I've got that, I can't see, my eyes are going. Well, our bodies are always trying to show us what needs healing out and releasing out. And it's just insane. And it was really interesting what you said to me. A piece of advice got shared with you, didn't it? Because you're on this healing journey, which is amazing, and you're the only person around you that is on this healing journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to tell like the people around me, like, you need to do this, but I think like they're not quite where I am, like in the awareness, the awareness part. So to them, I think it's still a little bit hard for them to, it goes a little bit over their head. So they're not quite as like on their healing journey as I am, but they haven't even acknowledged how much I've changed. Like they can't believe how different I am compared to a year ago, where I was. And that's the thing, like we think it's gonna take a long time. We think it's gonna something that has to be really hard and really scary. But again, those are our beliefs. So if you believe that it's a hard, scary, long journey, then that's what it's gonna be. But if you believe it's easy and fun, and that's one of the beliefs I've tried to put, like, give myself now, is my healing journey is easy and fun. And so for me, looking back, yes, some of the stuff is scary and very uncomfortable. I mean, there are a lot of uncomfortable truths that come with this journey. But like as soon as you acknowledge them and you start talking about them, they go away. Like I said before, admitting that I didn't like myself was so hard. I couldn't even admit it to myself. And I'm sitting here a few days later on a video and I'm saying those words, and there's no resistance or anything. So it's just about, stepping into that healing journey and being like, it's okay. Like I'm just gonna go ahead, full force with it and get it over and done with. Because the sooner you get it done, the better you feel.
Yeah.
And then like, then you can move on and
Yeah.
find the next hard thing to
Yeah. Find the next level of healing. But Tracy, do you remember you said to me somebody gave you a piece of advice, which was basically get yourself busy, go get another job where you're always working to keep distracted so you don't have to feel your feelings.
Yeah. That's that's a thing that I've noticed a lot of people say is, oh, your mental health is because or not your mental health, but the reason that you feel like the sadness and that is because you don't have enough to do, so you're sitting around thinking about it. Which, okay, I agree, like sitting in that for too long is not healthy, but you need to still acknowledge that you feel, because you can distract yourself all you want. You can go work 150 hours a week and kill yourself with a job that you likely hate. But eventually you're going to have to feel those feelings. You can't run away from them forever. Like they say, you can't run away from your problems because you have to acknowledge them and process them. And I feel like the more you hide away from them and the more you push them down, when they do come up, it's going to be really ugly and really uncomfortable. And you're going to feel like you're drowning and in this really dark place. And I think that's why it's so important that when you feel these things, to feel them, don't like run away. Like the other night, I think it was Thursday when we had the session. Thursday night, I wanted to just distract myself, but I was like, no, I know that I need to feel these, because it was also our other session we did around grief, where I realized I had a big realization where I don't allow myself to process anything. As soon as anything uncomfortable comes up, my first instinct is to just distract myself and pretend I don't feel that. But actually now I'm trying not to do that. And if I feel something uncomfortable, it's like just sit with it for the evening, but then pick yourself up and, don't sit in that for too long, because that's also not healthy. And that's also where like you start getting depression and things like that. But it's like, it's at the same time, it is important to acknowledge and release these emotions so that they don't get stored within us. And
Mm,
then, because like even like you have pains here and there, and then you go to the doctors, and then they just throw you on antidepressants, or they throw you on all these medications. And okay, they might, I'm not saying medications, are completely bad, because they do help with certain things, but what are they doing to the rest of your organs while they're helping with a certain organ?
mm,
Like, it's really scary when you just see how doctors just throw medication at people now. And so that's why I feel like with therapy, I was really worried that they were going to put me on like antidepressants, because I didn't want to go down that road of having to um, have tablets every day to feel better. I wanted to make myself feel better. And also, I feel like then anything that happened that comes your way, you'll be able to get through, because, you've got through everything else. And it's like that self-empowerment.
mm. 100%, because I think first and foremost, we are energetic beings. We are energy, this is what we are. And it's almost like emotions are pushed so far down. We never speak about emotions. When we're kids, it's like, don't cry, don't be angry. This is not acceptable. But every single time that we push those down, they stay in our bodies and then we numb ourselves to it. So we don't allow ourselves to feel emotion. I mean, it took me ages to really start to tap into, how do I actually feel? How do I really feel? Do I feel good? Do I not feel good? Because it was just masked. It was so masked. And like you said, with depression, no wonder we live in a world now where mental health is such a huge deal, because we don't allow ourselves to experience this emotion. And then when we are feeling those really deep despair and anger and fear and really, really low vibrational emotions, when we want to express that, we want to express anger, that is not socially acceptable, right?
Yeah,
So what do?
exactly.
We keep pushing it down, but then it just keeps it's bubbling there, and then it just explodes. But we just, I just really want to normalize being able to, allow emotion to come up. And for me, the biggest form of release for me is just crying. And
Yeah,
it's not hard to do, and I've worked with lots of people, and even abuse, like really deep trauma, like as child abuse and all of the rest of it, it's never as bad as what we expect it's going to be when we go back to work with these memories.
yeah,
It never is. And all it needs is just that compassion in the moment to understand and feel and allow the emotions to go through us, allow that younger version of us to know that it is acceptable to feel the way that we are feeling, and that it is okay and it is normal and it's perfectly fine. And then that's it, it moves through us and it's like, ooh, I feel lighter now.
yeah, exactly. It's like you say, anger, for example, is always told you're not allowed to be angry. But we came here to experience anger. Like these really deep emotions like grief. Grief is one of the most important emotions we came here to experience, because when we are, whether you believe in heaven or on the other side, we don't have those emotions, because obviously everything is high vibe out there, so you don't feel anything lower. So you come to earth for that exact reason, to feel all these really low emotions. And then when we do come here, we don't allow ourselves to feel them anyway. So it's kind of like a lot of our like missions and that with emotions, so that we can help other people who are feeling them to like move through them and empower themselves to heal themselves. And I think that we're in a very interesting time though, because this is something that is very new. We've never, up until now, as humans, we've never allowed ourselves to feel any kind of emotion. So these are very generational and ancestral type we didn't let ourselves feel these emotions. So now we have this life and all our other lives that we have to deal with the emotions. And I think that's also why the healing journey is so hard, because it's like there's so many different levels and layers for us to get to where we need to be. And yeah, so it's just like I just love this journey, even as hard and as crazy as it can be. Like the more I'm on this journey, the more I just love being on it.
I know, it's like you start to notice little differences in the way you are and the way you show up. I mean, for me, to be fair, I've been down a bit of a hole, I suppose. But because I was this person who was always really happy and bubbly and full of life and trying to be what I thought everybody expected me to be, it's almost like I've pulled right back. I mean, I'm a Cancerian and I didn't even realize that. I just thought I was, this being this high vibe person and full of energy was normal for me. And then it was almost like, oh, I don't have to be the life and soul of the party. I can be quiet. I can have time to myself. I can really go inside and figure out who I am and how I feel. And it's just been so interesting just to really, really, really understand like why I am the way I am, why I feel the way I feel, why I have always put other people first, why I have it's just insane when these realizations come into your head and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. I signed up for a freaking Ironman, right? A massive triathlon. It's like 2.5 mile swim, 112 miles on a bike, and then a marathon, right? I thought I was doing it for a challenge, but I think why I really did that was to prove to myself that I was good enough. Like,
Yeah, like
what?
it's crazy, like we don't feel like we're worthy or we're good enough, or
Mm,
like the lengths that we go through just to prove. Like I remember a friend telling me a few, like this was before I was even on this journey, and they said to me like, oh, you're such an amazing person. And I remember, well, they were saying something about you're so genuine and you're so amazing. And I remember going to my room and crying because I was like, but you don't even know who I am, because I was trying so hard to be what I thought people would want me to, for them to like me, that I knew on a soul level I wasn't being my authentic self. And although they thought they were giving me a compliment, it was actually kind of, I feel like on a soul level, it was sort of like a slap in the face, because I was like, but you don't actually know me,
mm.
because this is not really who I am. And it was, I think, one of the first times where I actually realized that I had to stop trying to be somebody else for them, and I had to be me. And if that meant losing that friendship, then I had to be okay with that, because like that I didn't want to be somebody, I didn't want to be fake, and I didn't want to be somebody that I'm not, just so that someone else would like me. And I think that was a real, it was before my journey, but that was where I really started to realize like I had to start healing more, because like I needed to start being more of myself and who I came here to be.
Yeah, and we bloody love you, Tracy. I absolutely love watching your journey. I love that you're in my life, and I just love that just to see the growth and the transformation in you and your connection to the different realms and how you're working with people and helping people. And honestly, you absolutely blow my mind with how far you've come just in these past few months, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
mental.
belief coding obviously helped me to the big things like my health anxieties and some fears and things, and my confidence as well. But I feel like since going beyond the veil in February, that has been where my biggest transformation, like on a soul level, that, where before I feel like it was very surface level, people around me could see the changes, and obviously I felt the changes. But now on this, since going beyond the veil, it's more been a soul level, and these big like soul revelations and things that have started coming into like my awareness and my connection and things like that. So it's been like really fun and really interesting.
It's just amazing. And now you are translating light language, aren't you, sweetheart?
Yeah, like that was crazy because that was literally out of nowhere. I remember you did a light language transmission, and then I still said like I felt like there was some kind of shift, but I was expecting to start speaking light language or something. And the next thing I was just translating, oh yeah, I think this is what you said in your video.
Well, Tracy, should we finish with? Shall I see what wants to come through and see if you can translate? Don't worry if you can't, because whoever's watching this will feel what they need to feel through it.
Let me just get,
Only if you want to. I don't want to
and
put.
also like we'll try. I haven't connected in, so I don't know if I'll be able to, because normally I have to like connect to my angels and stuff and ask them to help me. But we'll see if anything comes through. I did do a session with someone the other day, and when they started speaking light language, I instantly knew what they were saying. So we'll see if it comes through like that.
Okay, so let's just call in Tracy's team, Tracy's Angels, all the guides, just bringing them in now, and my team as well, and just see what wants to come through for the collective. Ki oria ki otokoria ki ani anorio kutiki ki ata ki anoria sia ki okoria ki anaria kia. Ua ionoria nia tokoria sia nia kia tario kutukusia naria kiata. Kuani o kotiki ano korea sia aki otokusiki anari otokoriani akutokoriani kiata. Iani o ayoko ayoko ani yasia noria kiatari okoti anaria kiata.
But I do feel like my light language is I actually think my light language is slowly starting to come through. So
Perfect. Did you get any sense of any of what that was?
no, like it kept breaking up a little bit. So I don't know if it just like that's why it didn't come through.
Yeah, the connection is a little bit. It keeps stopping, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't
Oh.
know if it's like my side or what it is, but
Anyway, my darling, thank you so much for doing this video. Absolutely adore you, Tracy.
you're welcome and thank you.
And I'm
Thank
going
you for like having me here.
no problem at all. And I am going to get Tracy's links to book in the angelic and unicorn healing with Tracy. And I'll make sure that they're on this video in the comments or something. So you can connect with Tracy too. Okay, thank you so much. And I'll see you soon, babes.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.